they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot on my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling. Kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Taking no else, yeah, I gotta win. Watch me kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Who running the game now? Foot on the gas, can slow down. No, my team, we holding it down. We know we running it now. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change, yeah. Tell them that's like, yeah, it's still of it. I'm taking a shot for my enemies. I can't waste no more time on my energy. I know they know I got it on lock. Go against me, that's a long shot. Cause I'm counting wins all around the clock. Never doubt me, boy, I don't stop. Who do you feel when they make you the monster? I am not scared of none of you imposters. Taking the lead now while they watching. Think you should leave now while the options. Taking no else, yeah, I gotta win. Watch me kick down the doors, they won't let me in. I'm running the game now. Foot on the gas, can slow down, no.
Welcome to another edition of the It's Cavalier podcast. It's your boy Mac, and tonight our Cleveland Cavaliers took on the Charlotte Hornets, who are led by the duo of LaMelo Ball, who is the Eastern Conference leader in all-star votes among guards. I don't know what the fuck that's about. And Brandon Miller, Charlotte's up-and-coming swingman. I'm a pretty big fan of Brandon Miller, and you saw tonight how badly he can damage you at times when he gets on a heater. This was no doubt going to be a fun game, but it was quickly entering that trap game territory for me. The Hornets came into this one with a dreadful 7-26 record. If the season magically ended today, they would be the favorite to land the third overall pick. Hell, they've only won a combined 55 of 197 possible games over the last 3 years. That's about 28% of their games, folks. That's 28% of their games that they have won dating back 3 seasons ago prior to that 43-win season that they had. But as we often say on this podcast, you always have to acknowledge that that team on the opposite sideline is part of the NBA as well. And if you slip up and don't take them seriously enough, they can and will bust your ass. But luckily, the Cleveland Cavaliers haven't really struggled with trap games. I mean, obviously, they've only lost 4 games all season long entering this matchup, and that would not change tonight with the Cavs defeating the Hornets for the 3rd straight time this season and 1 away from another sweep of an opponent, something they've managed to do quite often this year. And they'll have the opportunity to complete that sweep on March 7th. But for now, let's talk about tonight's game, shall we? As I said to open the show, LaMelo and Brandon Miller lead the way for this pretty young squad. And win or lose, they are uncompromising in their play styles. LaMelo and Brandon Miller, for better or worse, will take a bunch, and I mean a shit ton of triples each and every game. Like league-leading type of volume, my friends. LaMelo and Brandon Miller combined for over, get ready for this, 24 attempts per game from range. That is by far the most by any 2 teammates in the league. And to put that into further perspective for you, Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland are probably our 2 biggest shooters in terms of volume, attempt just 16.1 combined. So basically 8 more game LaMelo and Brandon are taking. But taking a high amount and making a high amount aren't necessarily mutually exclusive, as LaMelo and Miller shoot just 35.2% and 34.6% respectively. They took 21 tonight and drilled 9. That's about 43%. So, props to them tonight. Most of that was on the back of Miller, who would shoot 8 of 14 from the field, including 6 of 10 from three-point distance. LaMelo, just 7 of 20 from the field, including 3 of 11 from the three-point line. You just knew these dudes were going to jack up a ton of shots, and that's exactly what they did. They're not efficient whatsoever doing so. LaMelo takes some of the most boneheaded attempts you will ever see. And the shot is still as ugly as ever. But, confidence has never been LaMelo Ball. Hell, confidence is not a problem in the Ball family. You see it from all of them, right? And it has gotten them to where they are right now, their success. But at the end of the day, LaMelo, he is not lacking confidence. And those 11 triples attempted tonight, the 14, the 13 or 14 that he attempts on the season, they tell you everything you need to know. He may not be the most efficient, but he is going to take a bunch of them for that Charlotte squad that is struggling to win games this year. Now, coming into this one, I was really, really wondering how Evan Mobley would play, because it's been, against Charlotte, he has basically put together some of his best performances, right? We know what he did last time out. I'm sure you guys all remember that one. I mean, how could you forget? It's the one where he put up 41 points and drilled 6 triples, both of which happen to be career highs for him. He just loves playing against Charlotte, apparently, as he scored, at least 17 or more in all 3 of these matchups this season. And he has gone 9 of 17 from 3-point range against them in 3 matchups, which is good for 52.9%. He took 6 more triples tonight. And what do I keep saying each time I get on here, right? The volume still continuing to increase for one Evan Mobley. His volume has gone up tremendously over the last, 5 to 10 games. He has taken that shot with a lot of confidence. Over his last 10 games, Mobley, I want to say, is averaging at the very least 3 to 4. Yeah, he's averaging 3.9 3-point attempts over his last 9 games. Now, if you drop that down to his last 5 games, it gets even better, right? He is attempting over 5 triples per game. It's, and that was prior to tonight's game, but 6 more triples tonight, that's only going to bump that up even more. And that's exactly what you want to see out of him, whether he is knocking that shot down or not. You want to see him confidently pulling. And against a team like Charlotte, why not? Pull away. As I was doing a little bit of research heading into tonight's contest, one of the things that struck me and that hit a chord was the amount of space, the amount of gravity that Mobley is starting to garner, right? Coming into tonight, 8 of Evan Mobley's 85 3-point attempts this season have been considered tightly defended. That is just too shy of being more than all 3 of his previous seasons combined. The gravity is coming. People are aware that that shot is now within his wheelhouse. And as he continues to become more and more efficient with it, I just don't see how you're going to be able to leave him open. That, to me, makes this Cavs starting 5, almost unbeatable at times, especially when you have Dean Wade playing confident basketball. Dean, by the way, the lone starter that failed to score in double digits, but even when he doesn't do so, he still finds other ways to contribute, especially on the defensive end. And for him, the one thing that I continue to say is, okay, take the 3-point shot, be confident when you do it, and defend. Oh, and, pull down some rebounds, right, while you're at it. So Dean Wade, in his 22 minutes, 6 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 of 4 from the field, which all 4 were 3-point attempts. That is exactly what you want out of him. And then, obviously on the opposite end, give your all, be bought in defensively, and you don't really have to question Dean Wade's ability on that end. And that led to Wade being the leader in plus minus among all starters at plus 17, according to Bleacher Report, right? So he only played 22 minutes. I tend to think that that's pretty damn good production from Dean Wade as the 5th option in this rather stacked Cavs starting 5, when you have each, all 4 of the core members are capable of being the best player on the court at any given moment. And the guy tonight that really shone brightest was probably Darius Garland. You can make a case for Jarrett Allen, who we'll talk about here in a minute, but Darius Garland was absolutely phenomenal tonight. 25 points in 29 minutes, 8 of 14 from the field, including 4 of 7 from 3-point distance, 5 of 5 from the free throw line, a steal. And I posted this during the game, but this dude has been a flat out menace in the passing lanes. You see it show up in numerous ways. And for some players, sometimes guys will be really up there in deflections. Darius Garland is not. But one of the things that he has been able to do is pick and choose his moments, and he has been a pickpocket as a result of that. Darius Garland, over his last 9 games entering tonight, he was averaging 1.7 steals and had 15 over that stretch. Now, over his last 10 games, he now has 16, right? 16 total steals. This dude will just take advantage of you in the passing lanes if you are not careful with your distribution, right? The steal that he had tonight, he just was absolutely watching and waiting to prey upon the offense, right? You got to be careful with who you're passing the ball to around Darius Garland. He will swipe it right away from you, and that's exactly what he did. And then we got to talk about, you can't forget about the offensive production from DG, right? 4 more triples drilled from him. That brings his total up to a very, an extremely high amount for him this season. And I am just so damn proud of Darius Garland. I know I say this shit basically every stream, but he has just been phenomenal this season. Came into tonight shooting 42.7% from 3-point range, and he has just been the confident basketball player that we all know and love. Tonight's game means that he is now up to 100 triples. I mean, we are just, 35 games in, and Darius Garland has drilled 100 triples. This dude is phenomenal. There aren't words to describe how good that he is at times. And to me, it's a big reason why he needs to be up there in terms of the all-star votes, but he's not there, right? Obviously Evan Mobley in that first return was 10th among front court players, and Donovan Mitchell was 2nd. But you got guys like LaMelo Ball who play some of the most unethical hoops that you have seen, and you got Darius Garland struggling to get in to that field. And I understand that there are players out there that you can make a case have had better seasons than Darius Garland. But man, his impact on winning kind of speaks for itself. And it's a big reason why I'm hoping that the coaches will just kind of give him a pass in regards to the statistical output, right? Because again, he's not playing high amounts of minutes compared to these other guys. He played just 29 tonight, and he is still playing a career low, right? And that includes his rookie season where he played just 30.9 minutes per game, and coming in a season where many people called him the worst player in the NBA. I'm sure we all remember that. He's come such a long way. But he is now playing, prior to tonight's game, he was playing just 30 minutes per game. And that's going to be even lower after tonight. So, yes, he does not have the per game stat lines that some of these other players out here that are in the field have. But when you look at his per 36, it's pretty damn good. Per 36, he's putting up 24.4 points. He's dishing out 8.1 assists. He's stealing the ball 1.4 times a game. There's just a lot here from an efficiency standpoint that you have to love. He's shooting a career best 49.3% from the field, a career best 42.7% from 3-point range, which may go up after tonight's performance. He is shooting a career best 91.1% from the free throw line. So he's flirting with that 50-40-90 territory. And I think that he could possibly be there by season's end with the way that he has balled out. I don't know. I don't know how you can't reward the Cavaliers by sending at least 3. Mobley needs to be there. Donovan definitely needs to be there. And Darius deserves to be there nevertheless himself. And you could also make a case that Jarrett Allen, should probably be among the bunch. This should be one of the teams, the rare teams in NBA history that sends 4 teams to the All-Star game. But, it probably won't happen that way. We'll be lucky if we get 3. I think we get 2, but we'll be lucky if we get 3 in this year's festivities. I'm just hoping that the wins, because the Cavaliers, first team to 30 wins. They're now on a 10-game win streak. They just came off a road sweep, 4 straight games, swept a couple of opponents. They are now 10-0 against the West prior, after the victory the other night over the Dallas Mavericks. Reward this team for winning. Darius Garland, Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, all of these guys deserve their love. But, one of the cool things tonight for me was that you had at least 8 players that played at least 20 minutes for the Cavaliers tonight. You had all the starters. You had Max Strus off the bench doing what he does, bringing an impact. Karis LeVert, although he was not efficient tonight in terms of field goal attempts, he did other things out there. He had some really high quality assists tonight to a number of players. And you had Ty Jerome, whose minutes continue to be up and down, and that's justifiably so. And you have so much firepower. And George, he was almost the ninth player. He played 18 minutes tonight. And in his 18 minutes, he managed to score 10 minutes. I mean, he managed to score 10 points on 2 of 5 from 3-point distance. But man, there's just not a lot, right? We knew coming into this one that although it had trap game written all over it, this is a game the Cavaliers absolutely should have won. And that's exactly what they did. And I know what we're all fucking waiting for. It's the OKC Cleveland matchup. OKC, for those of you who did not watch their victory over the Boston Celtics earlier, they are now 11-0 against the East. And again, the Cavaliers are 10-0 against the West, conversely. This is a matchup made for the NBA Finals, ladies and gentlemen. That is not me saying that both of these teams are going to be the representatives for their respective conferences, but I believe that there's a high chance that happens. The teams are that good. Cleveland obviously has some hurdles to overcome. There's the Boston of it all. They're not going anywhere. New York, they're starting to play better basketball. And then on the Western Conference, it is by no means a given that OKC makes it out. There are some teams over there that could give them some problems. If Luka and Kyrie get healthy, that Dallas Mavericks team could be really, really good. OKC they have some hurdles to overcome on that side. But Cleveland and OKC, to me, are the two best teams in basketball. They're the two best teams in their respective conferences, and they remain undefeated against either conference. So it is going to be a real test. It's going to be a real test for this Cavaliers team. And they're doing all that, mind you, basically without Chet Holmgren. So for the season that Cleveland is having, OKC, for that matter, is having almost as good as a season, right? They're now 35 games in, they're 30-5. Cleveland is 31-4. So it's going to be a really, really good matchup. And I can't wait to see how things shake out, because it's from a stylistic standpoint, I just don't think it could get any better. They got some scary things over there, right? Jalen Williams, I'm a huge fan of him. SGA, he's always going to be somebody who I believe can really, really hurt you no matter who you put on him defensively. It's going to be a really good game. It is going to be a really good game. Let's hop into the chat here. Cleveland Cavaliers says OKC is going to be interesting because they are on the same level as us and won about the same amount of games as us. Yeah, again, 30-5 is OKC. 31-4 after tonight's victory are the Cleveland Cavaliers. And they just defeated the Boston Celtics, a team that the Cavaliers do have a W over, but they also have an L against too. Momo says our bigs are going to dominate Hartenstein. He's a stiff. I mean, we say that, right? But do we not remember how good Isaiah Hartenstein was against the Cavaliers in that New York Knicks series? For all the praise and props that Mitchell Robinson got, Isaiah Hartenstein was very, very impactful in that second unit for the Knicks during that series. Hartenstein is not a stiff, in my opinion. I think the Cavaliers bigs can dominate, but I'm not just going to say that is going to be the case, because Hartenstein is definitely good. D Jackson says OKC wasn't playing no games against the Celtics, wasn't playing no defense, just watching SGA and then boys hit threes all over the court. Yeah. And so here's the thing. What do we know about Boston? We know that Boston is the preeminent team for 3-point attempts, right? By far the biggest in the NBA. They attempt 50.2 3-point attempts per game. The only team in the league that is attempting that many triples. The next closest team is the Chicago Bulls, who take 44.1%. But the thing about the Boston Celtics, for as many triples as they take and as many triples as they make, they're not nearly as efficient as some other teams out there. The Boston Celtics are ranked 14th in terms of 3-point efficiency at 36.7%. They make 18.4 triples per game. That is the tops in the league, the number one amount in the league. But when you consider their volume, I mean, it all kinds of levels out, right? It's just the way that they play, offense. And OKC, conversely, is not necessarily the same type of team. The Oklahoma City Thunder are 9th in attempts from range. They attempt just 38.6. That is 12 fewer attempts than Boston. And they make just 13 and a half. That, my friends, is ranked 14th or tied for 14th. From an efficiency standpoint, it's even worse. They rank, if I am not mistaken, 19th in terms of 3-point percentage at 35.1%. So very, very stylistically different with how they get the job done. But despite that, this team in the Oklahoma City Thunder, they know how to put up points. They put up 115.1 per night. That is 11th in the NBA. Cleveland is second. We all know that. And Boston is fourth at 118.5. But they are a juggernaut, right? I think they can legitimately lay claim to being the best team in the Western Conference. I don't think anybody can really question that. And while Mauricio Hernandez says OKC play hero ball, while that may be true on certain possessions, I think all teams are kind of guilty of that from their top stars. It works. I mean, I hate to say it, but that shit is working for them. And how can you really question it when you're 30-5? You've only lost 5 games on the season, and you have some very quality victories at that. So I'm not going to be one to sit up here and tell you that their style of play is, doesn't work. They only have, 4 players who average double figures. But obviously, with having the caliber of SGA, who's a perennial MVP caliber candidate at this point in time, they're going to lean on him. He's putting up 31.2 points per contest, 5.4 rebounds, 6.1 assists, doling out, not doling, but stealing two a game and blocking 1.1 shots, right? That's crazy stuff out of them. And he's playing 34.4 minutes per game. So not an exorbitant amount of minutes, but they definitely lean on him. I haven't looked into his usage stats, but I would venture to say that they're high. And since we're on the subject, why not just go ahead and check? So this season, SGA is in the 95th percentile in terms of usage. That is behind just LaMelo Ball, who we just played, who is in the 100th percentile. This dude has a 40.3 usage rate. That is insane. LaMelo Ball, anyways. And then Cade Cunningham, the only other player in front of him at 97th percentile, has a 35.4% usage rate. And SGA is in the 95th percentile at 35.1%. I mean, the way in which they just place the ball in this guy's hands and ask him to deliver is insane. But who am I? Who am I to question what gets the job done for them? Because obviously it has worked. We shall see what the Cleveland Cavaliers do to defend that, but it's going to be tough. Again, he is one of the only players in the NBA that is asked to do as much as he does on the offensive side of the ball. As it stands, there are only 4 players in the NBA that average at least 30 points per game, and SGA is one of them. LaMelo Ball, it is also in there, 30.1, but there are only 4 guys who can say that they're averaging that many points per game. And they are Giannis, Jokic, SGA, and Ball. That's a list, right? And these guys are all very, very high caliber offensive players. And some of them can get it done on the defensive end too. But SGA is an entirely different animal than LaMelo Ball, who jacks up 13 triples per game. And it's crazy because SGA is only attempting 6. So he gets the bulk of his work done not only at the line at 7.9 attempts per contest, which would best any player that we have on this roster, right, for the Cavaliers, but it would be much higher than many other players around the NBA as well. So he gets the bulk of his points in between the lines, right? Not necessarily from beyond the arc, but from the mid-range area, attacking the basket, and by drawing a ton of contact and getting to the foul, the charity stripe. So SGA is going to definitely be a matchup, and I wonder if Isaac Okoro is back, if they slide him into the starting lineup to help defend against SGA. I really want to see what that is going to look like from a matchup standpoint, or if they just continue rolling with Dean Wade. But I don't really think he can go wrong. I think all of these guys that could start at the three, add different things, whether you're talking about the facilitation, secondary ball handling, and shot making from a Max Strus, the defense, rebounding, and now starting to be more and more consistent shooting in Dean Wade, or the premier point of attack defense and better shot making from Isaac Okoro. You definitely have a couple of options, but one of the things that Cleveland has to consider is length. They are one of the lengthier teams in the NBA, and they're starting five. You just look at some of the players that they have on their squad and who they start. It's insane, right? SGA, pretty damn tall guy at 6'6". And obviously you got Hartenstein at the 5. Lou Dort, he is by no means a little guy out there. Jalen Williams is one of the bigger twos out there at 6'6". They got some length, and that is one thing that can give people a ton of problems. And Chet isn't even, he hasn't even really been healthy. He hasn't played since November 10th. So it's just, they're doing so much without this guy, and I think it's going to still be a tough matchup from just a matchup standpoint in terms of length, but we'll have to see how things shake out. And I think this is the matchup that we have been waiting on for a very, very long time. We know what Boston presents from a challenge standpoint in their ability to play 5 out. They're a damn good team. It is among the most difficult things in the modern NBA to do, to defend a team playing 5 out and who can shoot as well as they can. But from a matchup standpoint, OKC, they present such a difficult task in terms of the length that they have out there. And although they lean heavily on SGA from an offensive standpoint, they definitely have guys who can get it done. So we'll have to see how things shake out. That's really it, right? We knew that the Cavaliers were going to come in, after returning from this road trip and take care of business against Charlotte. At least I hope they would, and that's exactly what happened as they moved to 31-4 on the season. They need one more game, one more win against Charlotte to complete yet another sweep. But it's definitely on to Wednesday's matchup against the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's the one that everybody should have circled on their calendar. And at the very least, the Cavaliers will have some rest. They'll have some rest. And that is definitely going to help because they have it back-to-back. It's not just OKC on Wednesday. It is the Toronto Raptors on Thursday following that. So hopefully these next couple of days of rest help out, and the Cavaliers get Isaac Okoro back, and we can begin having some of these conversations that we have been waiting to have for this team being at full strength. And hopefully Sam Merrill will be available too. We'll have to see. That said, as I always tell you guys, if you'd like to reach out to me, I can. It's Cavalier_pod on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and more. If you want to be added to the It's Cavalier Discord chat, you know what to do. Leave a rating, leave a review, send me a screenshot of said review to itscavalier53@gmail.com, and I will send you said invite. If you're watching over on X, do your boy a favor. Go over to YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber to the It's Cavalier podcast, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on a beat. Also, just want to throw this out there. I haven't plugged it in a while, but if you want to support the podcast, please consider doing so over on Patreon. The link to the channel's Patreon will be in the description of the video. You can become a supporter or, a paid member, as they call it over there, for as little as $1 a month. You guys don't know how much I appreciate that. Anything and everything helps. And if you don't, I'll still be here to produce the content because I love the Cavaliers. And this season has been a reward enough, right? To see them win so many games the way that they have, so dominantly, and to play some of the most ethical hoops, that any team does around the NBA. That's got to mean something, right? The Cavaliers, hopefully, will be discussing another win here on Wednesday. That said, go Cavs.